What is up, everybody? Liam Murphy here. Today on the agenda, we're going to be reviewing my Draftkings best ball teams, my FFPC best ball teams, a couple high stakes managed teams, and see what lessons, if any, we can glean. Let's get it. All right, let's get into it. What's up, Tyler? What's up, Ashton? Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please make sure you hit the like on the video and are subscribed to my channel. If you are not, we are on the road to 3,500 subscribers. Only 150 away there. So, couple housekeeping items. One, if you haven't seen my videos yet this week, I did a roundtable where we dived into some lessons from the season. And yesterday I reviewed my underdog best ball teams. Couple news items around the NFL. One, Josh Jacobs he's not officially been ruled out, but basically has been confirmed he's not playing tonight. So Zamir White is the presumed starter there. But, it's most likely going to be some Zamir White, some Abdullah on passing downs. Who knows? Who knows what it will be? Alexander Madison, I think, also has been ruled out. So Ty Chandler, the default starter there. The Vikings have a pretty nice running back schedule. They get the Packers week 17. That's an awesome running back spot. They get Cincinnati this week. That's a pretty good one. Cincinnati batting against tight ends, just bad in general. And Geno Smith practiced today, so it looks like he is for sure going to play, and that's pretty notable because the Seahawks get Philly, awful pass defense. They get Tennessee, which is like a bad slot matchup, but really bad against outside wide receivers. And then they get Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh's got a good pass rush, but you can beat them explosively in the run and in the pass. So before we jump into looking at my DraftKings teams, if you're new to the channel, I did win the 555 last year for $250K, hoping to repeat as champion for $1 million this year. The DraftKings Millie maker, the $10 one, I wanted to talk about my process a little bit there. I advanced 51 teams in the DraftKings Millie. That is an advance rate of 34%. 9 of those teams are wild card. 9 of those teams were wild card teams. So I advanced 42 out of 150 by myself, which is 28%. But what happens when contests overlay, meaning they do not fill, is if it has a playoff site, so Underdog or DraftKings, they will start awarding wild card spots to, aka playoff teams, to the next highest scoring teams in the contest. They didn't have to be third. They could have been fourth. Technically, they could have been 12th in their group, whatever. Just as long as you scored enough points, you would get a wild card team. So I picked up 9 extra teams on the wild card. Wild card advance line in the DraftKings Millie was around 1975 is what I saw online. I don't know if that's true. I don't see why anyone would lie about that, though. The DraftKings Millie Maker, the $10 one, is not a contest I was as excited for. It's lottery sized, right? We know this. It's very big, just like BBM4. But Unlike BBM4, it's huge entrant-wise. Like, I think, like, a 1 point I don't know. Insane amount of entries could have gone in there. Like, literally maybe 1 million. And the final size, and I'm not someone who likes a huge finals. I would much rather there be harsher advance rates in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and have a reasonable sweat week 17 versus the DraftKings Millie. You get a team there, you still got to beat 1,000 other teams, which is like a pretty decent sized tournament. So, obviously, I want to win that tournament. I would love to have many bullets alive, but you get a team to the finals, you still got to be 1,000 teams. The year I won BBM2, you only had to beat 160 teams. Best Ball Mania 4 has harsher advance rates than the DK Millie, so it's a 440 person size final group, which still huge, still hard to win. Just seems a little bit more tenable. David asks, whose rankings do you use for BB and season long? David, I am the rankings. I just consume a lot of information. It's what I actively think a lot about fantasy football. Good news for you is I will be launching a site next year for best ball / fantasy football, but a lot of it's going to be best ball. And plan to take my game even to a bigger step. When I'm going to be launching a site, I'm going to be grinding. I'm going to be grinding a lot of things, such as what roster changes the teams make. I think that's an edge. What are the schedules? All of it. So tune in for that next May or April or whatever. All right. Let's dive into these teams. There's really no easy way for me to show you 60 DraftKings teams. So what I did is I pulled them into a spreadsheet through screenshotting the Millie Makers and my 555 teams. Partially so I don't have to click a bunch of tabs, and partially so actually we're going to keep these small camera so that we can zoom in more. And partially so that I have historical records of this for my site and whatnot and just research, because DraftKings does not keep records. So, let's start with the 555 teams. My 555 teams. Oh wait, before we get into that, I want to talk about what happened with the DK Millie for me, because this is kind of insane. What I did is the DK Millie I saved for the very end, like the very end of best ball season. I drafted from April till the end of the contest launch, and with 2 days to go or whatever, I had only drafted 20 DK Millie teams. So I needed to get 130 teams in. And I'm not a slow draft person. I like to fast draft my teams. And so I did that. And, I needed to draft 130 teams over 2 or 3 days. There was no way I was going to do that one at a time. So I got a big monitor. First thing I tried is to just open 10 to 15 tabs on my computer monitor and multi-table it like that. That was okay. It was, I couldn't do quite as many as I wanted, and it got a little convoluted. And so what I ended up having to do is, I used to teach chess. I play a lot of chess, not a chess professional or anything, but played a lot of speed chess. So multi-tabling the drafts is not that difficult for me personally. I've done a lot of drafting it's not like I had questions of what I wanted to do. I'm someone who's not afraid to have pretty narrow exposures. I like to lean into risk, try to take the guys who I think are the best players. So that kind of helps for multi-tabling too, because I'm not like, ooh, do I have 5 shares of Tyreek and 2 shares of CMC? I need to mix here. I'm just like, I want this guy. Boom. And so What I ended up having to do is I started to do 15 to 20 DraftKings drafts in the Millie Maker on my cell phone. And don't get me wrong, this was like an extreme dopamine intensive exercise. It was literally physically draining, where it was an intense amount of mental energy to get in there, click who I want, make sure I'm not getting auto drafted in other places, go to the next draft, remember what I was doing in that draft. And so, yeah, that's how I finished the DK Millie. I knew I would want the sweat for this part of the season, so even though I didn't want to do it. And yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, "Oh, woe is me, look how hard I worked." I'm just saying that's what I did. And by that time, it was clear the contest was going to overlay. So not only do you have the casual guys in there, but you also have people who are straight up auto drafting, because it was like pretty much just plus EV to have any bullet alive in there once it overlays, which takes care of the rake and whatnot. And there's also like, I'm at the top of my game at this point. I got the info. I know who I want. There were guys I used to be taking who I wasn't as much. By doing such an intensive exercise of doing so many drafts and not being having like no idle time, I did some things to help myself. Like if I drafted Stephon Diggs, for example, I would almost always take Josh Allen in the second round. Or I would try to. And if I drafted AJ Brown, I would always try to take Jalen Hurts. Why? Well, DraftKings is a site where an auto drafter will take 4 quarterbacks by default, / people just like to hoard quarterbacks there. So there definitely were some teams where I would like look up and be like, oh, fuck, like I'm locked out at quarterback. So I would end my draft with like Mac Jones, Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill, like just trying to because I felt Ryan Tannehill was one of the most likely to be benched. So I would always try to get the Levis combo with Tannehill. Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask or something. So I tried not to get locked at quarterback by going elite. I also was trying to draft 100% Kyron Williams, which turned out to be a smash pick. That's going to help you a lot. So there's a lot of reasons why, I advanced 30 out of 150 in BBM4. I advanced 51 out of 150 in the DK Millie. Some of the teams are probably not that greatly correlated, right? Because I'm doing so many teams. Some of the teams I probably have a lone quarterback here or there compared to my BBM4 teams, which I'm doing purposefully. So, little explanation there. My 555 teams, I didn't get as many teams in late, but we got some bullets there. I wouldn't say the teams look amazing on paper. I definitely have some complete teams, and the 555 is a much smaller contest. The advance rates are much more gentler. 1 out of 6, then 1 out of 5. Boom, you're in the finals if you can make that. So you don't need as complete or as good a team in a higher stake contest. All right, let's jump into the teams now. So we'll start with the 555 teams, which we're going to just look at it in Excel form. I ended up with 12. I drafted 76. You could max this at 150. That was a little steep, even for me, for such a top heavy contest. First prize in this contest is $1 million. If you finish second in the contest, it's $125K. So top heavy. You got the positions here on the top: QB, RB, wideout, tight end. A red color means they are dead, out. Yellow means they are likely a 0. If they're just missing like this week, like Josh Jacobs, that's nothing, because I don't know what that is. He could be yellow, he could be red, he could play next week. So let's dive into this. I got 12 through. 13 would have been expected. 12 out of 76. 15.7%, so a little bit below mathematical expectation. One of the teams is a 0 QB team, which, yeah, I mean, would be dead in any other contest, but technically is alive in such a small field if some unique things happen. And I have one team, which is solo Stroud. So, yeah, we'll really quick run through the high stakes teams in the 555. This team is my only share of Puka Nakua. It's pretty nice. It's a Prescott, Derek Carr, Jordan Love team, so QBs feel fine. Stevenson, Pollard, CMC, Rashad Penny, and Zamir White. Which I think is a smart constructed room in the sense of sorry guys, 1 second here. I think it's a smart constructed running back room in the sense of Pollard's a guy I liked a lot. This was like a July team around July 4th. I knew because I drafted this team in New Hampshire where I grew up. Pollard was one of my favorite targets. It was hard to get second round Pollard. It wasn't long. It wasn't around long. So this was like a hyper fragile team. CMC, Pollard, Stevenson start. Not a lot of people thought that was viable in the year of 2023 with wide receiver prices pushed up. I just flat out disagree there. I think you can do hyper fragile any given year, and it's going to work some years when wide receiver gems exist later, which they might. Obviously, Stevenson's not playing. Rashad Penny almost certainly is a 0. But I like the Zamir White pick paired with this trio because when you go Stevenson and Pollard at the 2-3 turn, who did you not take? Who's right next to them in ADP? Josh Jacobs. So not only did I not take Josh Jacobs, but I directly levered off of Josh Jacobs by taking the presumed RB2 there. JSN, Darius Slayton, there's some analytics out there that shows Darius Slayton was an awesome pick this year. He doesn't have the quarterback for it, but when you there's a chart going around showing how open a guy is and how much yak he gets. And Darius Slayton is around company like Christian Kirk, Zay Flowers. So Puka Nakua, Christian Watson, who it needs back, Rashid Shaheed, who it needs back, John Metsy, who I drafted for a little bit of time, and now actually maybe is an okay pick. Let's look at that real quick, actually, for the Texans. After Nico went out, which was early, it was Mechie with 45% of the routes and Hutchinson with 70%. So Hutchinson seems like he's ahead of Mechie, but Mechie still gets a sizable bump there. Of course, he needs Stroud to play to really matter. Gabe Davis, Spike Week King, great for best ball. Michael Thomas, who according to him is going to play again this year, and Jameson Williams. So yeah, not the best wide receiver room here. And then it's got Kincaid and Hawkinson, which oftentimes I just stopped at 2 tight ends there, even though they had a week 13 bye. But in this case, I have Jordan Love, so I paired Musgrave there. Musgrave was hurt for that bye, so we didn't get those points. I don't know what's going on here, but welcome, friends. This next team was definitely a very early drafted team. You can tell because I drafted Trey Lance, which early on, I either did a couple things. I would do Lance Purdy. I would just do Lance. So yeah, that's not great. Obviously, if that was Purdy, you're feeling a lot better about this team. But is a Stroud, Lance, Richardson team. Let's let this load. I don't know why this always takes the loading page. But what I'm curious about is what is the Texans-Titans line or if they've pulled it down. Because if they pulled it down, meaning you can't bet on it anymore, that is a sign that we don't know if Stroud's playing or not. Okay, so what we're seeing here is it's opened at 20, bet down to 17. So that to me could just be sharp bettors being like 50-50 if Stroud plays, or more so like 70-30 he doesn't play. So might as well bet it down in hopes he doesn't play and Davis Mills sucks. But I wouldn't say it's a confirmation Stroud is 100% out. But yeah, it's not looking good. DeAndre Swift, Deontay Foreman, Roshan Johnson, Travis Etienne, and Chase Brown. Chase Brown, Zamir White, Ty Chandler, everyone back from the dead here. Tank Dell, who unfortunately was like a big part of my high stakes teams that were doing well, had him on quite a bit of teams. So tough injury for me there, is what it is. AJ Brown, OBJ, Amon-Ra, who Amon-Ra's on like 6 of these teams. So one of my biggest sweats there. Debo, Isaiah Hodgins, Michael Gallup, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, Kittle, Darren Waller. Previously had Darren Waller as a yellow, but looks like he might play. So, yeah, if this team can get through with Stroud, Tennessee twice, pretty good schedule. Maybe if it could even get through without Stroud. It's a little thin at running back. 2 Bears guys, not great. Swift, ETN, Brown, though, and wide receiver strong enough. Tight end definitely strong enough. So, this next team, it's a dead quarterback. We're not, this video is going to be long, so we're just going to skip over it. But this team is loaded with skill players, and some people don't believe this team actually could win a contest, but it just flat out can. The only way it can, though, is if it gets in like the only share of certain players, and that player's like needs to get in. Like, here's an example of how this team wins. It's the only one in the finals with Kamara and AJ Brown, and both of those guys score 50, and that delta is more points than like a team with quarterback and getting a 25 from their skill player. So yeah, thin, likely dead, unfortunate. It's a really strong team. It's got no quarterback though. So next team's a 4-6-7-3 team. Not something I did a lot. And I remember drafting this team and feeling running back was thin, but if it worked, it was nice. Howell, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Geno Smith. Great quad right there. Rashad White, Miles Sanders, Devin Achane, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown. Honestly, a really strong running back room. There were several weeks of this year where Rashad White was the only running back giving this team points. Tyreek McLaurin, DJ Chark, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Treylon Burks. Strong wide receiver room. Tyreek is banged up, obviously. And then Kincaid and Laporta, 2 high upside, mid-round to late round tight ends. This next team's probably my best team, even though it's a solo quarterback team. Justin Herbert out, Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy is like one of the few quarterbacks just looking at schedule where you're like, yeah, that guy could totally just go on a 3-week run. I mean, he's done it the whole season, but Arizona this week, Baltimore, and Commanders. Like, boom. It's got Jerome Ford, boom. Jeff Wilson, not so good. Roshan, not so good. Charbonnet, solid. Rico Dowdle, injury / red zone equity. David Montgomery, very solid. Tank Bigsby, not good. And Kyron Williams. So for going late round running back, it hit on Kyron, Montgomery, Charbonnet, Jerome Ford. Feeling pretty good about that. It's got CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Debo as the top 3 wide receivers, which is like 3 of the best wide receivers you could hope for. And then darts of JSN, Slayton, and QJ. And then tight end, Kincaid, Laporta, and Juwan Johnson is there if he falls in the end zone. So yeah, pretty strong team. Sole quarterback. We'll see how it works. How does it not win? Just CMC gets all the rushing production, and no passing game. Yeah. Next team is a 3-6-8-3. Howell and Goff and Jimmy G, who probably is not playing. Ramondre, yeah, I don't know what his status is. He could play next week. He could be done for the season. Jalen Warren, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, ETN. That quad right there is good enough, even without Stevenson. John Dotson, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, JSN, Tutu Atwell, Amon-Ra, Ayuk, and Deontay Hardy, who saved the Bills' season with that catch against the Chiefs. Cade Otton, Trey McBride, and Goddard. So, yeah, mixed bag here. Amon-Ra, Ayuk, you feel great about. Garrett Wilson, pretty high floor guy. Got some darts. Tight end, killer room, 4 fine running backs. If you get to the finals, ETN gets the Panthers. 2 fine quarterbacks with iffy schedules. Yeah, Kyron definitely, in a season where Kyron Williams does not get hurt at all and just smashes, my advance rates are probably through the roof. Still, this was my strongest advancing season so far, but it's not just about advancing, right? It's about winning the contest. This is a 3-4-10-3 team, so a hyper fragile one. I didn't do enough of those in the 5-5-5. Most of my hyper fragile teams I did this year, though, seem to do well. Tua, Bryce Young, Geno, fine trio. Josh Jacobs out for tonight, but it still has Brees, CMC, and Ken Walker. Fine trio. Nico, unlikely to play, but we get Stroud back. We get him back. I still think he could win leagues week 17. Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darius Slayton, DJ Chark, Bateman, Atwell, Downs, Hardy, Waddle. Mixed bag here. Juwan Johnson and Higbee, weak tight end room. Stroud, Howell, Lamar. I'm going to try to speed this up. Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard, Gainwell, Singletary, Kyron, Zamir White. So this is probably one of my more complete teams. It gets the Zamir White maybe bonus. Dell out for the year. Diggs, JSN, Slayton, Hollywood, Bateman, Christian Watson, Gallup. Bateman apparently is one of the league leaders in separation, but Lamar just ain't getting it to him. Nice to have a Lamar team. He could definitely go on a 3-week tear. Kincaid and Pitts, definitely fine at tight end. Diggs is going to be a low-owned guy. Just need him to go on a run. Need Christian Watson back. So it's got a chance here. Hit on every running back pretty much. Literally all these guys can produce. Brian Robinson's questionable for this week. Howell and Young, Brian Robinson, James Cook, Breece Hall, Charbonnet, Tony Pollard. So really strong running back room. St. Brown, Debo, Ayuk. That's awesome. Someone sniped me on Purdy on this one. I remember it. Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis, DJ Chark, MVS. Logan Thomas with Hal. Michael Mayer, Hayden Hurst, Jelani Woods. Not great. Solo Love, Algier, Pollard, James Cook, David Montgomery, Chase Brown, Zamir White, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Slayton, Lockett, Christian Watson, Hyatt, Downs, Rashee Rice. Justin Ross is back at practice. Schultz and Hawkinson. And then the last 2 teams, Prescott, Stroud, Purdy. Lights out. Jahmyr Gibbs, Charbonnet, A.J. Dillon, Pierce. 1 good, plus 3 meh. Lamb and St. Brown. And then, tough group. Gallup, Mechie, Michael Thomas, DPJ. Lost Mike Williams, lost Tank Dell. Kittle, Conklin, Ferguson. This team is a pretty complete team. Got in at the 11th hour. Goff and Trevor, 2 week 9 buys. Brian Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, Charbonnet, Chuba Hubbard, CEH, Algier. St. Brown, Lockett, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson, Isaiah Hodgins, Mayer, Ingram, Kincaid. I remember drafting this team because I did it on stream with Herzig. And with a falling Goff, I decided not to go for a third quarterback, even though I had 2 week 9 buys for uniqueness purposes. And I remember the Jerome Ford pick would have been Sam Howell. So maybe Sam Howell scores more points over the regular season for this team, but Jerome Ford may be that low own or the better pick for the playoff stretch and a league winner type running back. Yeah, there's no easy way to go through 51 teams without making this video insanely long. I did want to just highlight a couple that I tweeted out. Um, since I did a lot of my teams late, and this is something another example of a lot of people are gonna have the takeaway. Oh, I got to draft all my teams in August, but Cooper Cup fell to like the 3-4 turn in the DK Millie because he got hurt. Is that going to happen every year? No. Happened this year. Well, an injury, so I just 100% cupped at a certain point past the second round ADP. So that's why this team is a Tyreek and Cup team. Running backs Gibbs, Brees, Evan Hall, Swift, Kyron. So just like lights out there. Tyreek, Zay Flowers, Cup, Atwell, Hollywood, Mingo, Parker, Slayton, Hawkinson, Laporta, Kincaid, smash tight end room. And the quarterbacks that are left are Stafford and Love. So pretty fun team. I got a lot of I made this little thread on Twitter so you can look through some of these teams. This one's fun because this is actually like one of the clearest examples of a team that, if it gets to week 17, is very well set up. Why? Well, because it has Noah Brown, who could have been drafted like 50 times in the whole contest. It's got Stroud and Noah Brown stack. So if it gets to week 17, and even this week, maybe Stroud to Noah Brown wins me $1 million along with the rest of the roster. Yeah, I think we'll just go through. These are rows of 7. So I think I'll just I don't know. Let's just choose a row and go through 10 or so of these. I was not splitting Kyron a lot. I was pretty all in. I just didn't draft as many teams late August. So what do we got here? A CMC Cup team. That is fun right away. Cup very hard to advance. You can use the BBM4 ownership as like a rough guide, but keep in mind it is a PPR site. There's a little bit of randomness based on just like how teams were drafted. And then also the wild card formula really rises the ownership of some low owned guys, right? Like a lot of my Cup teams might have been wild card teams. Trevor, CMC, Brees, Cup, Olave, Goddard, Mike Evans, Evan Ingram, Jameson Williams, Dalton Schultz, Deontay Foreman, Tajay Spears, Jalen Warren, Jonathan Mingo, Chuba Hubbard, Kyron Williams, Deontay Hardy. What if you need Deontay Hardy? Because I got a lot of him. Let me tell you that. So what do we got here? We got Trevor to Ingram, and I used to have Kirk. We got Daniel Jones. So solo Trevor, but it's got Kyron, it's got CMC, it's got Brees, it's got Cup, it's got Olave, it's got Mike Evans, it's got a lot of good pieces here. Hurts, A.J. Dillon, Brian Robinson, A.J. Brown, Metcalf, Goddard, Ayuk, Hollywood, Zay Jones, Taysom Hill, Spears, Wandale Robinson, Singletary, Purdy, Laporta, Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams. So that team has a lot of gas. It's got Hurts. It's got Purdy at quarterback, just like pretty nutted combo. Running back room of Dillon, Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears, Singletary, Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams. A lot of heat there for going late round. It's got the A.J. Brown stack. It's got the Goddard stack. It's got Purdy to Ayuk. So, yeah, feel good about that one. Goddard, Taysom Hill, combo tight end with Laporta also feeling really nice. I don't know. Prescott, Brees, Stevenson. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Lockett, Knox, Jahan Dotson, Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, Geno, Algier, Lazard, Zay Jones, Jeff Wilson, Shaheed, Gainwell, Trey McBride, Noah Fant, Kadine. So a 4 tight end team with Knox, McBride, Fant, and Otten. You know, not every one of those guys is a smash, but getting the McBride piece feels good. Hurts, Gibbs, James Cook, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Cooks, Kincaid Swift, Justin Herbert, RIP, Traylon Burks, Achane, Tyreek Hill. Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen Warren, John Mingo, McBride, Justin Ross, Jaden Reed, Evan Hull, Josh Allen, Walker, A.J. Dillon, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, T.J. Hawkinson, Kittle, Hollywood, Burks, J-Mo, Kyler, Greg Dulcich, Mitchell, Shaheed, Mingo, McKinnon, Kyron Williams, Deontay Hardy. You can see I also liked Evan Hull. Sometimes you land on Kyron, sometimes you land on Evan Hull. Yes, we're reviewing my teams, man. Prescott, Pollard, Stevenson, Diggs, Gabe Davis, Laporta, Walker, Brandon Cooks, Addison, Achane, Higbee, Rashid, Shaheed, Hodgins, McBride, Slayton, Kyron, Bellinger. Nice to have the combo of McBride and Kyron, 2 late-round league winners. Miles Sanders, Jerick McKinnon, Taysom Hill, Devontae Adams, Smith, Pitts, Cooper, Watson, Gabe Davis, Mitchell, Love, Young, Kincaid, Singletary, McBride, Slayton, Kyron. Again, we got the McBride-Kyron combo. One team I want to pull up, because this is an example of when I got locked out at quarterback, is I said, I regret to inform you, a Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, Desmond Ridder team will be eliminating your super team in the DK Millie playoff. So, yeah, this is an example of when I drafted a team and, I'm multi-tabling so many, and then I look up and I'm like, fuck, I got no quarterbacks. So I just had to try to, take cheap starters and, take two guys, just try to, lock in a floor. So Mac Jones, Levis, Desmond, Tannehill, just a rough combo. So it's really a Will Levis, Desmond Ridder team, but it's got some pieces there. Look at 3 more of these and move on. Allen, Brees, White, Tyreek Waddle, Kittle, Pittman, Hollywood, Penny, Mayer, Everett, Singletary, Gallup, Deuce Vaughn, Kyron Williams, Deontay Hardy. Allen Lazard is $3K on DraftKings. He is beyond dead. So is Michael Thomas, which DraftKings is wilding for that. What if he gets activated off IR? You're just having Michael Thomas be 3K? Brees, Stevenson, Lamb, St. Brown, Lockett, Kincaid, Dotson, JSN, Rashad White, Achane, Knox, Roshan, Higbee, Stafford, Howell, Slayton, Kyron. Yeah, I got a lot of Kyron. Kyron is my highest owned player in the DK $10 milli. It's on 50% of my advancing teams. So that feels nice with their schedule and the quality of player that he is. And he's not going to be on all the teams. Everyone boo this man. Boo! It looks like this is that team I just showed, the Mac Jones team. So yeah. Obviously, after this week, I likely won't have such a high quantity of teams where it will be easier to just review every team I have left. But that's the view at the DK teams for now. FFPC is a different beast, and that is because it is tight end premium. It is, which means 1.5 points for reception for tight ends. It is only 2 wide receivers instead of 3, which really changes the formula. And it's double flex because of that instead of single flex. So, with that being said, I think you could do some unique things. I advanced 8 out of 30 teams in the 125 championship, a crisp 27% advance rate. Look at four or so of these. Yeah, if you're wondering why Taysom Hill is showing up as a quarterback, it's because after this contest was launched and like 95% of the volume was drafted, the Saints did some roster manipulation, and so this website changed Taysom from a tight end to a quarterback, which we've already dived into. It's pretty, yeah, hopefully they never do that again. But it's got these quarterbacks: Pierce, Charbonnet, Spears, Singletary, Swift, Lamb, Ridley, St. Brown, J-Mo, Ferg, Otten, Schoonmaker, Key, Hawkinson. So it's an okay team. Not my favorite one. You can get away with less wide receivers, and depending on the quality of them, like just St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb holding on the wide receiver spots, when you only need to start 2 wideouts a week. All I need is 23, my Michael Jordan year. Hurts, Swift, Sanders, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams, Achane. So smash running back room. It's like all the late round league winners. Ford, Kyron, Achane, Swift. Shaheed, who practiced yesterday. Michael Wilson, Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper, Hardy, Justin Jefferson, who says he's going to play. Conk, Ferg, Kincaid, Mayer. So pretty strong team here. Needs wide receiver help, honestly. But Jefferson's coming back. Let's take a look at all I need is 18. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, James Cook, Kyron, Charbonnet, Rico, Brian Robinson, St. Brown, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Metcalf, Debo, JSN, Garrett Wilson. Smash wide receiver room, honestly. Laporta, Mayer, Henry, Everett. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see more quantity tight end teams on a tight end premium site because your tight ends can hit your flex. You can start 3 tight ends a week instead of 2 with the double flex. All I need is 8 was a 5 QB team. Naked Goff. The other 4 are stacked in Love, Howell, Stroud, and Bryce Young. Charbonnet, Kyron, Ramondre, CMC. Dotson, Davis, Watson, Mingo, JSN, Trey McBride, Gerald Everett. I think he will. I think Achane will play. And not only that, but I think Achane is set up better for the fantasy playoffs than Tyreek Hill. And Achane ran some Tyreek Hill routes against the Titans after Tyreek was banged up. Prescott, Purdy, Stafford, Kelly, Cook, Jordan Mason, Ken Walker, Pierre Strong, Tony Pollard, Myers, Metcalf, Hollywood, Debo, Bateman, Amon-Ra, JSN, Ferguson, Mayer, Knox, Schultz. Another Kyron team. I might have 100% Kyron on this because I did almost 100% 0 running back teams on this site. I thought I had a Hurts Purdy team, but maybe I lost it at the 11th hour. All right, we'll look at one more that we didn't just look at. Lucky number 13, Geno, Love, Desmond, Kyron, Ty Chandler, Singletary, Pollard, Chris Evans, Chuba Hubbard, CMC. Desmond out-advanced Mahomes in this contest. Down bad. Ridley, Lockett, Gabe Davis, Bateman, QJ, Christian Watson, Drake London, Kincaid, and Cade Otten. Okay. Let me take a piss, and then we'll finish up with the managed teams. In the meantime, please subscribe. Sorry about that, gang. Went out for dinner last night. Had a little too much red wine, so we've been pounding the water to recover. Do you have other pieces to carry your teams forward? What do you mean, man? Of course. Yeah, I mean, best ball's a funny game where it's like, say you have a lot of CJ Stroud. Arguably, maybe it's better if he sits this week. You get lower ownership on him going forward if you get any through. Yeah, no, there's going to be, on average, there's going to be weaker teams that have Tyreek, Achane, Mostert on them because a lot of those teams just advanced because they had those players. My main event team did 5, got 1 through. This was a stream team. It went it won top record in the season. It won the most points scored, and it won the league playoffs. So now we just got to win the sprint. Last year's winner of the way it works is you start the sprint with your average score through like week 12 or whatever it is. And then what your total points are over weeks 15, 16, and 17 decides the champion. And the point average you start with is like a lot less important than how many points you score going forward. So yeah, I mean, you can make up a big average. Like my average I think is like 142 or something, and like the first place is 160, so I'm 20 points behind. Last year's winner averaged 180 points over 3 weeks. Now, that is not going to be a sticky thing year to year. That's really just going to depend on how high scoring the NFL is in total. So if it's a week where, for whatever reason, not a lot of guys go off, the average could be a lot lower. I took a look at this team's 3-week best average. Its 3-week best average was enough points, 181 points. So I think it's got a legit shot. It's got a lot of good pieces. It's probably got some low-owned pieces. It's got some optionality. I'm excited for it. It is Josh Allen, which I didn't get any Josh Allen in the 5-5-5. So I like that I have a high stakes Josh Allen. He would be obviously my QB1. Got the Josh Allen to dig stack, which is going to be maybe a little bit lower owned. AJ Brown, Brees Hall and Kyron, along with Puka, Rashee Rice. Atlanta D against Carolina this week. Picking like Carolina pretty good. Young Hoku, whatever, just some correlation there. Need a kicker. Kyle Pitts. So tight end is like our weakest spot. And then Russ is our backup. There's no more waiver transactions for this. We debated cutting Russ and just accepting that we're going to lose the years Josh Allen didn't, goes down. We didn't, though. Chuba, a very solid running back that could get in our RB2 spot. AJ Dillon, very unlikely to play him. Brian Robinson, like maybe we play him next week, but I don't know. JSN, Hollywood Brown. Could definitely play Hollywood against the Eagles if we need to. Tanner Hudson and Brevin Jordan are our other tight ends. Greg Dulcich did practice, or like his practice window was open, so I don't know. If Dalton Schultz had played last week, we probably would have cut Brevin for Dulcich. It's probably just we're going to live and die by Pitts, but, Tanner Hudson is a dart. Brevin is a playable dart with the wide receiver injuries and maybe Schultz injuries. We got Chicago's kicker, which, I had this thought, and I don't know why I just didn't think about it. I like that they play Atlanta week 17, but we could have two kickers in like absolute Chicago shittery weather, but maybe less people are likely to have them. And then Jacksonville's our other defense. They get Carolina week 17, which we're almost surely going to play them. So 2 games against Carolina feels nice. It feels like a year where there are some quarterbacks that just can give some huge defensive performances to opposing defenses. Guys like Zappy, guys like Tommy DeVito, guys like Bryce Young, where I wanted at least 2 matchups against the worst quarterback. So we got 2 of them against Bryce Young, which feels good. And then we'll either go with Atlanta against Minshew. Seems fine. Or Jacksonville versus Baker, which also feels fine. And then, yeah, we have a plan of what we're gonna do, but it will adjust based on how many points we're scoring, how far back we are, whether we're leading, anything like that. So really solid team. Good luck to us. This site is called Realtime Sports. I did 1 team there this year. And unlike the FFPC, if you make your league finals, which I did, league finals are this week for Real-Time Sports, but also the points scored this week count for the sprint. But if you just make the league playoffs, you qualify for the sprint, which I kind of like. You don't need to win them, unlike the FFPC if you didn't finish. My team finished 3-10, but scored the second most points, so it made the playoffs, and now is in the sprint. The team lost Mike Williams, but it has Lamar and Kyler as the quarterbacks, Achane Pollard and ETN. So I just went with 3 running backs, depending on the quality of them. I had forgotten that the sprint starts this week. I'm gonna seriously debate benching ETN against Baltimore. I'm gonna think about that. It's got Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis, Demario Douglas, Quentin Johnston, who I added like last week on waivers, JSN, Parker Washington. So, yeah, not the best wide receiver room. Garrett Wilson's playing in like 70-mile-per-hour winds or whatever this weekend. Tight ends got Hawkinson, Kincaid, and Pat Freiermuth. Indy is like a real good matchup for tight ends. So is Cincinnati. So Hawkins is in like a slam dunk spot. I also like Kincaid against Dallas this week. Then we got Young Ho Koo again and the Cleveland D. And I picked up the Texans D as my second defense because they get 2 games against Will Levis and a game against Joe Flacco, which seems solid enough. Cleveland's D also has a lot of injuries, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. It's hard to say who I would even bench ETN for. Like, these guys are like Pat Freiermuth. It's not tight end premium. It's just PPR. Blake Group is my second kicker who is playing in a dome week 17. Or no, he's playing in Tampa week 17, which seems better than Chicago weather. So yeah, this is probably where we're stopped for today. If you're wondering, my college buddy league that I commission, 14-team league, I also earned the bye there, so no big deal. No big deal. I will be back tomorrow to do some underdog pick'ems for the weekend and debrief tonight's game. Can't wait, guys. Week 15, we're here. Hold on this feeling. Someone's going to win $3 million in 3 weeks. Someone's going to win $1 million. Many people are going to win $1 million. A lot of us are going to have disappointments. That's just what best ball is, Prepare yourself. Keep your expectations in check. But yeah, someone's got to win. Might as well be me or one of you. Good luck to all of us. Give me a week 15 in the YouTube chat below. And good luck, everybody. Peace out.